Tessa wakes up from a dream and starts to pack her room to leave for college. She is joined by her mother, Carol, and her best friend, Noah, in the kitchen downstairs. Her mother is listing off items that she thinks Tessa will need while Tessa reminds her that she is going to college and not a survival camp. Tessa introduces herself to her new roommate Steph, who is vaping. Steph introduces Tessa to Tristan. Steph makes a remark about being unsure about having a freshman roommate, but she says it should be cool. She'll be her spirit guide. She doesn't want these girls to distract Tessa from her schoolwork. Tessa reminds her that she is responsible and that it won't be an issue. She says goodbye to both Noah and her mom. Tessa returns to her room, and Tristan is gone. Steph and Tessa chat about freaking out Carol, how Noah is Tessa's best friend and still a senior in high school, and Tessa's rather large book collection. Steph leaves, and Tessa unpacks. She is shown later in bed texting Noah about starting her first day the next morning. Tessa leaves her dorm early in the morning, and heads to her first class across campus. She meets Landon outside of a locked classroom. Later that day, Tessa takes a shower in the dorm and realizes that her clothes fell on the ground and are all wet. She notices a boy sitting on Steph's bed in the closet mirror and whips around startled. Steph enters the room and sits down on the bed with him. Tessa asks Steph to have her best friend leave the room, to which Steph replies that he is not her best friend and asks the boy what he had been saying to her to make her think that. Steph tells Tessa she is going out with them that night, but Tessa seems reluctant. Tessa decides not to go. Steph and the boy get up to leave. Just as the boy is about to go out the door, he hands the book he was reading back to Tessa. Tessa is shown the next day at a campus coffee shop studying. Tessa goes to the library to study. She is interrupted by Steph, who tells her that they are going to a party that night. Steph helps Tessa pick out her party outfit. They make their way into the frat party, and Steph meets up with Tristan in the kitchen, kissing her. This seems to shock Tessa slightly. Steph introduces Tessa to her friends. There is Zed, Jace the townie, Molly, and the rude boy Hardin. Molly and Hardin are laying with each other on the couch and touching and kissing each other. Zed inquires about Tessa's major. She wants to do something business or economics related. Jace offers Tessa a drink, which she initially refuses, but takes a swig after Molly makes fun of her. Molly suggests that they play a game of truth or dare. Tessa says that's a kid's game, but Molly explains not the way that they play. Jace asks Tessa the truth or dares, to which she chooses truth. Molly asks her where the craziest place she ever had sex was. Tessa is noticeably uncomfortable and asks to pass, and Molly picks up on it. She asks Tessa if she is a virgin. Tessa does not want to answer, so she asks for a dare. Jace dares Tessa to make out with Hardin. Hardin slowly gets up from the couch and walks over to her. Molly starts filming the encounter on her phone. Hardin seems shocked by this, and the group teases Hardin about this being his first rejection. He turns to Molly with a little look of disbelief on his face, but he slowly smiles. Tessa calls Noah outside on the porch of the party, where he gets onto her about partying and drinking. She is shown laying in bed texting with Noah again, and he apologizes for scolding her earlier. He wants what is best for her. Tessa makes her way into a class and looks for a spot to sit. She sees Molly and Zed in the crowd and avoids them. She finds Landon in the front and joins him. Hardin makes his way into the classroom and sits just as Professor Soto begins talking about the book Pride and Prejudice. She asks Hardin what his thoughts on the book are. Tessa seems perturbed that he is in her class. The next day, Tessa walks into the campus coffee shop and orders a drink. Notices Hardin sitting on the couch reading. Hardin approaches her as she is putting sugar in her coffee. Hardin tells her it will be difficult to stay away from each other since Steph is his friend and her roommate. Hardin says that he wants to show her something, a place. Hardin announces that this is his favorite place. Tessa seems uneasy BC she does not have a suit. Hardin faces away from her, sneaking a peek. He helps lower Tessa into the water, and they swim playfully. They move closer to one another, and Tessa reminds him that they are just going to be friends. Hardin says he doesn't think they can only be friends. The next show is Hardin and Tessa at a bar/grill. They receive their food and talk about Hardin not believing in love. Tessa backs off. Just then Molly and Zed interrupt their conversation, and Hardin looks uneasy. Hardin tells them they were just leaving and Molly flirts with him and asks for a ride. Hardin refuses and says that Zed can take her home. Molly is touching Hardin and clearly trying to get a rise out of Tessa. Hardin hands his car keys to her and tells her to wait outside. A few minutes pass and Hardin joins Tessa at the bar. Tessa asks him if he was embarrassed to be seen with her. Hardin scoffs at her and tells her nothing is going on and that if she wants to break up with Noah, she should do it for herself, not him because he doesn't date. Tessa is shocked and angry and slams his keys on the bar top and storms out. Hardin curses to himself knowing that he messed up. Hardin is drinking, brooding, and upset at seeing Noah and Tessa together. Molly suggests they play suck and blow. They each pass a playing card to each other mouth by mouth until Jace purposefully drops his right as Tessa leans in. Jace continues to make a pass at her, while Noah tells him to back off sheepishly. Hardin jumps off the log across the fire and punches Jace, and they begin to fight. They have pulled apart and Hardin storms off into the dark. Tessa and Noah are then lying together in her room watching TV. Noah falls asleep, and Tessa receives a text from Landon asking for help. Tessa arrives at Landon's house and sees the kitchen in disarray, glasses broken. Hardin seems surprised to see her. He says that he thinks he has changed his mind about dating and tells her he is a mess. Tessa says they are both a mess and begin to fool around. Tessa wakes in the early morning and realizes her mistake. She rushes back to her dorm where she sees Noah outside on his phone trying to reach her. He knows that something is going on, but his suspicions are confirmed when he sees Hardin walking up to them arguing. Tessa tries to explain herself, but Noah is too upset and leaves. She tells Hardin to go home and goes back up to her dorm. Tessa is shown sadly walking around campus, ignoring texts from her mom about the Noah breakup and Hardin asking why she won't speak to him. She says that Noah is her best friend, but Hardin is so much more. Hardin sneaks up behind her, and they hide from the security guard. Hardin reads to Tessa in the darkened, locked library. They lay on the ground and hold hands. Hardin comes up behind her in a darkened astronomy class and tells her how beautiful she is. Carol thinks she is making a big mistake with Hardin and worries that she is compromising her future. Her mom cuts her off, and she leaves warning her daughter that Hardin will break her heart. Landon and Tessa discuss her getting cut off by her mother because of Hardin. He warns that Hardin is complicated, but Tessa says that he is different around her. Tessa is seen getting picked up outside of the coffee shop by Hardin. They go to an aquarium where Hardin is taking pictures of Tessa and the fish. They go to his dad's wedding, and Hardin is understandably tense. Hardin says that he tried to fight them off, but he couldn't stop them. Molly says that Hardin does what Hardin does. Tessa is reading a book in their apartment when Hardin's phone keeps getting texts. Hardin walks into the room, and Tessa confronts him about the texts. Hardin says he has no idea what Molly is talking about and then says he is leaving. Tessa gets upset that he is leaving in the middle of their argument, but Hardin asks if she trusts him and she does. Tessa is sitting at home later that night, and Hardin won't return her texts. She gets a text from Jace telling her to meet him at another bar, and he will tell her where Hardin is. She arrives and sees Hardin's card. Tessa tells that group that she has been living with Hardin off campus and Molly gives her a look. Jace walks in with Hardin who looks mortified and scared that Tessa is there. Molly starts telling Hardin how Tessa has been giving them all the details about their relationship and how adorable they are. She asks Hardin if there's anything he wants to tell Tessa. Hardin says they meant nothing to him, and he didn't even reply back. Molly asks Hardin if he thinks this thing has gone a little too far. Hardin tells Molly to shut up and asks Tessa to leave with him so he can explain. Hardin starts to cry, while Molly tells her it was all a game. Hardin says that this was recorded before he got to know her. Tessa gets up from the table and storms out with Hardin following behind her. Hardin brings up the fact that she told him that nothing could change how she felt about him, to which Tessa says they are both liars. She runs off into the night while Hardin cries in the rain. She goes to classes while Hardin sits in his room looking sad, reminiscing about the first night they almost kissed. In a voiceover, Hardin is talking about how he has found his Elizabeth Bennet and how their souls are one and the same. The voiceover continues with Hardin saying that she had once asked him whom he loved the most in this world, and he says it's you. To watch more video like this, click on the videos on your screen, and don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last I will say, stay safe and stay healthy. See you next videos.